What's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today I'm going to ask you the question and kind of answer, my little own opinion here. Do you prefer classes or do you prefer characters? Now, we already did an editorial talking about the difference between classes and characters, and I know some people, they have the complaint of like gender locked, but sometimes it's not actually gender locked. It's just that's the character, and then there are classes in some games that it's not character based. They just don't have a male version or something like that. Looking at you, Tara, fuck. Anyways. So I know there's gender locked, but really the debate here that we're gonna have is personally, do you prefer games to have classes or to have characters? And to specify even further, what I'm gonna say is characters. I'm gonna say like Overwatch, where there's no further customization. Now I know there's Paladins that also has loadouts and everything, but we're gonna do the worst case scenario for characters. Okay, so that's gonna be just completely stagnant characters. You just have the abilities. That's it. And then for the best case scenario, we're gonna use classes. That's going to be games like Guild Wars 1 and debatably so Guild Wars 2, where there's a tremendous amount of customization, though in Guild Wars 2 it's debatable because most of it's really not viable at all. So mostly Guild Wars 1 actually, where you can, change roles, you can mix and match classes together, you can basically pick individual abilities, you essentially create your own characters, you create your own kits, and the gameplay, the roles, the everything, the game feel can change up to a pretty large amount there. So anyways, just let's get it started with this. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with my opinion here. I'm gonna say I prefer characters. Okay, you probably already know that since the channel really focuses on kind of like character-based content. I talk about Paladins, Overwatch, Gigantic, got my hero shooters. I play For Honor. I do like fighting games. I need to play a little bit more, but I'm playing For Honor right now. And, just any game, even branching games that kind of are borrowing the character kind of concept. Like we have Quake Champions coming out soon. Also MMOs, a lot of MMOs that play characters, which generally tend to be action RPGs actually. So I like a Dragon Nest. I think it's pretty interesting. Vindictus. And so, yeah, anyways, even we also have some games like Black Ops 3. We also have Rainbow Six Siege, which kind of has some character, aspects. Me, that's what I do. I like character games because it's sort of like them saying, okay, so here's your tool. I want to see your creativity with this tool. You have this pre-confined rule set of the game. You have this very strict rule set for this, tool, this character. I want to see you as a player and how creative you can be. So it's a challenge to me. And also I found that increasingly so with new games, especially, that we are given these tools are actually really, I guess, flexible. You can do a lot with these, and you can actually be very creative with these tools, which tend to be so preset. And I find myself, like slowly over time, losing interest in class-based games, generally because they don't do them that great. I think Albion Online is actually a great class-based system. And you might be thinking, well, there is no classes, there's no characters, there's no classes, and that's that's why I think it's the best, because you create your own classes. The best class-based game is a game where you actually customize on top of your little template. So Albion Online, there essentially is no template, and everybody can kind of mix and match. And so to me, that's the best class system, because you create your own classes. Guild Wars 1 was similar. You had like 2 templates that you kind of pick from, and then you make like an actual class system. Actually, one really interesting kind of mechanic that you can have is in Arcade, where you pick from 3 different classes, and then you pick like the abilities from those 3 classes. So that's the kind of stuff that I think is really interesting, and that's kind of the boon of a class system, is that there is customization, further down the line. Now, we do have some character games that are also implementing that, which is pretty hype, absolutely. But not, it's definitely not the norm, okay? We have Paladins, and that's kind of it. And we have MOBAs, some MOBAs, and, as you play the game, you buy items. Absolutely, that's fucking awesome too. But generally, if we just say characters, they're flat, they have their own mechanics, their own kits, and in my opinion, I think you could still be very expressive with them. However, of course, you can be expressive with classes too if you do have customization. It's just so far what I've seen, and mostly it's going to be MMOs that utilize classes, bunny ears. I feel that they're really not that creative. And the games generally, because MMOs are MMOs, they can't be as physics-based or as intense, mechanically as MOBAs a lot of the times. I mean, if they are, they tend to be very laggy and, stuff like that. So I found these games, their pros and cons are weighted so much heavier. So if we have a class-based game, let's say like World of Warcraft, there really isn't that much customization between the different classes. Some classes are incredibly variable. So you have Paladin, you've got the Druid. Those 2 classes, they can actually change roles, which is, that's what I really want in my customization. I want to actually change my role. And then even further, I want to be able to do my role a little bit differently, even within my class. But most classes in World of Warcraft are that this is your role, and then you can kind of do it a little bit different. You know, you have like 3 choices. Some are just 2. You have 2 choices you can choose from, really. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's not as, you know, as grand as Albion or Guild Wars 1. Of course, that's what makes Guild Wars 1 special. I admit that. I know that. But I just think if you're gonna have a class-based system, there needs to be more customization, right? There just needs to be, and I just haven't seen that. Now, we could talk about maybe the future of gaming, how class-based games coming out. And really, I feel like a lot of class-based games are actually just character-based games that are claiming to be classes. I think Black Desert Online is a good example of a class-based system that's kind of like a character-based system. It's like, yeah, you do actually have a lot of customization. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but you do have customization with your characters, and the characters they are unique and stuff, and they have their own unique combos, and you can actually pick and choose which abilities you want to level and to what degree and stuff. So that's kind of cool, but it's not like you're gonna completely radically change your entire role. You're not gonna just completely be a healer, though I have heard some rumors that maybe that's possible as a witch, kind of, but for most classes and most archetypes that you know, most like builds, they're all just kind of DPS. They're all just kind of DPS. So I don't even know how to feel about that. That's weird. So anyways, the creativity in characters, you know, the argument there. Well, the characters, like I said, they're predefined tools, and it's kind of hard to explain unless you're kind of competitive. But if you're competitive, you need these sort of predefined tools, unless you're, I don't know, maybe it could work in a game like like a deck builder, right? Hearthstone, stuff like that. Those are games where you can kind of like mix and match stuff, and it works because they're strategy games. But when it comes to like MOBAs and MMOs, generally it's like they're action games. So actively, you know, the actions that a player takes is the real game there. And that's the creativity. So in MOBAs, they do have the added benefit of buying items. So that is, you know, customization as you level up through the match. You know, your personality is going to shine through a little bit more. But in games like Overwatch, let's actually use that as an example. And I haven't even, you know, thought of this previously, so this is going to be just completely raw here. But in Overwatch, in the gameplay, we're playing a Sombra, because hell yeah, dude, she's super fun. And in Overwatch, let's say we have Sombra. Now you can actually play Sombra in a couple of different ways, and you can, of course, you're absolutely free to be flexible, like throughout even an individual match. So that's kind of the cool thing. A lot of people will see characters and they are just very constrictive builds. It seems like they're very small kits, but the truth is that they are incredibly flexible, despite their sort of like seemingly pinpoint focus. That's what makes characters so fun, because they are actually explosive. You can actually do some really big plays with these in a lot of games. Not every game, but the games that do characters right, that's how it's supposed to be. So they tend to excel at certain things, and they have weaknesses in certain ways, and players can kind of give and take and do some manipulative kind of things, you know, especially if you're a better player, especially if it's a team game, you can do some really surprising things and make some big plays. So as Sombra, you can choose to be, maybe you can go for, you know, for the kill, maybe try to get that mercy, or maybe you can sit up top and kind of snipe. You can actually hack people. If you don't know, she can hack people, which means they can't use abilities. So a Reinhardt, who is the wall, the shield of the team, you can just turn off that shield anytime you want. So yeah, I can just sit on some rooftops, turn off his shield, then my team can wreck him, or I can go back, kill their support, maybe their mercy, or it could just be really fucking annoying and just build up ultimate really fast. So really, I'm just kind of distracting people, and really, I'm just trying to build up my ultimate by doing damage. Not necessarily trying to kill, so I'm playing a little bit safer, and it's really annoying some people. You know, I'm kind of, instead of them playing aggressive, now they got to play a little bit safer, because you never know. I might go full aggressive. You never know, might be surprising. And then I get my ult charge, and then I could just jump in with the team. Okay, so I could play off by my own. I could be a little bit more team-based, and overall, you know, maybe that's just because Sombra can actually be a little bit flexible, and she's a really weird character, I'll admit it. But anyways, she actually has ways, and she has a very specific kit for you as a player, and that kit is designed to allow you to be creative. A lot of people think that Torbjorn actually isn't very creative. You just lay down the turret and you just hammer the turret. But actually, if you're good with him, which is hard, okay, because his gun is not hit scan at all, and it's very slow firing and very slow projectile. But if you're actually good with him and you can get headshots, then you can be incredibly aggressive and just use the turret as backup, as team support, as a distraction, and then you can play almost like a pseudo tank. You can even be like a pseudo flanker, and you can just be incredibly annoying with Torbjorn but you have to be like in the top 1%. You have to be exceptional. Some other characters are a little bit more obvious, you know, like Genji. Like Genji can be annoying, but really like like Genji, like if you're really good at Genji, then you kind of just assassinate all the bitches. You just kind of kill them. So some characters are maybe a little bit less flexible than others, but even Genji, which is really more straightforward as kind of an assassinate character, he can contest points. He can play really well with his team. He can even save people with the deflect. Like, you can make some pretty crazy plays, but for the most part, he is going to just be an annoying assassin. Yeah, no contest there. So some characters more flexible than others, but even still, you know, these kits, they seem constrained, they seem confined. They're actually very specifically made, you know, again, in the good character games, they're very specifically created to give the player that freedom, that flexibility, and creativity. Where in, now, we'll go back to class-based games that, you know, they give you a template, which is a base value thing. These abilities tend to be very vanilla. They might have one ability that's really, really kind of out there and special. So Paladins, you have like the bubble shield, you got lay on hands, but for the most part, it's very vanilla-ish, you know? And then from there, you have the customization, and the customization isn't really, you know, as impactful as a lot of these character-based games. There's very few classes in a lot of games, I'm gonna say, that really do, I guess, proper justice to the fantasy of the role of the class. But you know what's really exciting about character-based games is that they don't have to worry about, you know, customization or constraints generally. It's like they have a fantasy for, you know, a class, for a gameplay, for just, they think of the pure game feel, and then they make some abilities around that, and then just let you, you know, from there, you as the player, choose what you do with that, physically. So, yeah, that could just be trends, though. That could be trends. We have games coming out like Albion, where you can, you know, tremendous amount of customization. You can create your own classes. And who knows, on the horizon there, what you can really do with customization. We got Profall. We'll see what that game's like, if it's more character or class-based. We're going to see with games like Chronicles of Illyria, where you, like, you know, full-on create your own character. We're going to see if games can do customization more appropriately, if we can actually build these abilities and then build our own kits, which can then turn into proper characters, not just simple avatars and that play a template in a very predefined role. No, true characters that are special in the game world. Honestly, not many games do it right. I think Guild Wars 1 definitely did it right, but very, very rarely do we see games do classes actually right. And we see many games do characters absolutely fucking fun, okay? So that's really my only debate, is that more character-based games do it right, and probably because it's easier to balance, honestly. And then a lot of games don't do classes right. Really, all they have to do is just give us freedom. Even if it's disbalanced, just give us freedom, and we're gonna have fun. We did in Guild Wars 1, we tried to in Guild Wars 2, but just give us the freedom, and then from there, we'll make our own characters. And I'll be cool with that. So yeah, I can see both sides, guys, but I'm just, for right now, I'm gonna go with the character games because there's just more of them, and they're just more fun right now. Let me know what you guys think, guys, in the comments below, please. This is a conversation. As always, I hope you have fun. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.